Hey, welcome to Frontline Beef. Today, we're going to do another movie review. This just does pops off the top of my head because I don't have anything scripted or anything. But recently watched finally Birds of Prey. Let me get the title right. Because Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. All right, so this video is definitely going to contain spoilers because it's been a long time since it's been how long ago everybody should have seen it. If not, I'm a jerk. Sorry if you're watching it. So, all right. So let's just go ahead and get to it. Break down the plot of it first of all. All right. So, morally confused, mentally deranged character who is a villain goes on a journey because they lose the love of their life. And they go on this little killing spree and maniacal events or whatever and just go ahead and destroy. I didn't realize I was on Facebook Live. Sorry. Did not know that. So that's going to throw me off a little bit. Anyway. So goes on a little rants and rampage after losing the love of life. Finds a kid that needs help, goes on a little journey of their own. Pretty much a character arc of like going from just a plain bad guy and, going to the morally gray area, anti-hero area. Realizes that they can't do it on their own and forms a team that, they've never been a part of before, Detective Montoya, Huntress, Black Canary, they all team up and to save this kid from Black Mask, who wants the kid because kid's got a diamond. So it's a simple plot, but it worked so much better a couple years ago when they called it Deadpool 2, which is pretty much exact same plot. Lose love of your life, gotta save a kid, so you form a team. Now you're part of something bigger. And now you're not really just a bad guy being bad. You're actually a bad guy trying to do good stuff. Pretty much exact same movie, just not as good. The main character still had the inner monologue that everybody could hear and broke the fourth wall, talking to the audience and everything. Just was not – I was really looking forward to being a good movie because, I haven't liked a lot of the DC movies. Pretty much none of the ones recently. I haven't liked any of those. And but Suicide Squad, I love Suicide Squad. There were faults in Suicide Squad, but it was overlooked because they put a lot of time and effort to develop the characters and make an interesting story. The bad guy in the movie, their ultimate goal was just weak as fuck, but it was still the best DC movie in my opinion that's been out in a while. This one pretty much falls to the whole DC curse, the DC Cinematic Universe curse that I go with. DC's behind the power curve when it comes to making movies, superhero movies. They're behind Marvel. Marvel got a jump start and did it right, and they followed a plan. DC was start off a little later than that with their plan, and they were like, "Oh man, let's catch up and let's just throw a bunch of shit at you." And let's reboot this because it didn't work. And let's reboot that because it didn't work. Let's just throw a whole bunch of shit in one movie, like they did in Batman versus Superman. Just too much information at one time. They did it in Aquaman. Just too much stuff that they did in this movie too. You're going to introduce the main character, which, yes, Harley Quinn was in Suicide Squad, and you already knew her backstory, but they kind of rehashed the whole story a little bit in the beginning. Then they had to tell her story again about why she's not with the Joker anymore. And then, let's just go this way and that way. Then you had to tell the story of Detective Montoya, and then you had to tell the story of Huntress. Then you had to tell the story of Black Canary. Then you had to tell the story of this kid. Then you had to tell the story of Black Mask and his henchman, this guy and that guy. It's just too much shit for one movie. And that's basically what DC does, though. Like, let's just throw some stuff in there. Let's just throw a bunch of people in a movie. and waste all our fucking time introducing who this is, what they are, what they're doing, and let's put some good graphics on there, but let's not develop the story. Let's just go ahead and give you a super weak story after we've introduced everybody. It didn't suffer from the Martha effect, like Batman vs Superman, but it just there was just overload of people, overload of main characters, and there was really no development of the storyline. You know, there could have been a lot more done to it. Like, if you would have spent less time, you know, introducing like you don't have to introduce every character in a movie. Like, take a drink. Sorry. Like, I know back in the day, you used to watch movies, and you wouldn't even get the backstory of the main character. Like, you could watch Clint Eastwood movies back in the day, like the Western movies. You knew he was a good guy in the movie. Sometimes you didn't even know who the hell he was, and the movie still worked. This movie should have focused more on Harley Quinn, told her story, and then introduced these other characters without actually having to like give us their whole backstory and what all they were doing and all this and that. And you know, they could have focused more on just, hey, this is who she is. She's here. We don't need to know her backstory. The backstory isn't needed to push the narrative of the movie. That's time taken away from the movie, where the story of the actual what's going on now could have been like elaborated on. The only thing about the movie, you know, I'm gonna focus on Harley Quinn. Like, the bad guy was great. You know, Black Mask, he actually portrayed a bad guy, and he actually did the character right. You know, it wasn't overboard, wasn't, you know, weak as fuck like Lex Luthor was in Batman vs Superman. You know, he wasn't generic bullshit. But and then the other characters, you know, the other characters, they were good. You know, the other leads were good characters. But let's go ahead and talk about Harley Quinn. You know, they kind of like neutered her. You know, she's supposed to be batshit crazy and maniacal and everything, but in the end, you know, well, actually not at the end, but you get from like point A. You know, she's not in this movie. She's not batshit crazy like she's supposed to be. You know, she's more calm and thought out, and you know, like, thought about what she's doing first. And that kind of just, like I said, I think they were trying too hard to make a Deadpool movie. You know, yes, he's crazy too, but he's also got the same moments. She's supposed to be batshit crazy, and she acted not really batshit crazy the whole fucking movie. Like, the start of it, yes, she was a little crazy. After that, she was just a normal fucking DC character at that point. And like I say, you know, that on top of just throwing way too much backstories in and not enough actual into the movie kind of blew it for me. You know, it wasn't an awful movie. It wasn't the best movie. It was probably, in all reality, it's probably top 3 or 4 on the DC movies recently. But it still wasn't. It could have been better. You know, I like the fun of Suicide Squad. She had a great character in Suicide Squad. You know, the whole movie. You know, they introduced a whole ton of characters in Suicide Squad, but it seems like it flowed better, and it didn't really take that much time out of the story, and pretty much like everybody kind of wrapped it up together. It made the story. This one just, who cares? Who cares what this person's backstory is? You're not there to watch them. You're there to watch Harley Quinn in a movie. And I think they blew it, you know. In all reality, they kind of just pulled a DC movies cinematic universe and shoved way too much shit because they're far behind. Marvel's 10 years ahead of them, and they just shoved too much shit in one movie. I'll be back on later, and like I'm reviewing The Hunt in the next day or two. The Hunt, actually, I'll spoil alert that I actually like that movie, so it'll be my first movie review on here for a movie that I actually liked. But as I just, if you're looking for something to see Harley Quinn in, maybe kill a little time, watch it. If you're expecting something really good, just remember it's a DC movie. That's all I can say.